This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the mayor.
Yo, it's Our Lifestyle, the podcast, episode 146. This one's titled Lucille. Welcome to Mini Truckin' Motherfucking Monday with an all-new episode. Yes, and on this episode, we're going to keep it short and sweet. We've got kind of a new thought process and what we're going to do for the Monday episodes that we drop. And on this one, we've got Michael Jennings. So he's coming at you guys from Texas, and you may have seen his truck kind of making its rounds on social media. And we're going to talk about his Class Act tribute build that he's kind of working through now, S10, S15, if you will. So we've got that audio coming up here shortly. Now, I'll do this episode as I probably will do kind of going forward on the Monday episodes. Again, just to kind of reiterate to the listeners, with Monday, we don't guarantee that we'll drop them every week, but we're going to sprinkle some in here, especially the second half of the year. That way we can kind of help get through all of these different interviews and kind of the list, if you will, that we have. We're also not going to stop, of course, with our normal updates on Friday. So what we're going to do on these Monday episodes is I'm going to try to streamline and go over the updates that you guys kind of tend to hear me cover at the end of each episode. So that'll give me an opportunity to kind of hit on those items, and then we'll kind of stack up the regular kind of scene updates for Friday episodes. Now, speaking of Friday episodes, we've got a few people in line here. Now, it's going to depend on how it all works out in terms of who will be on the next few episodes. But like as an example, we've got Duck, NC Duck. So we're going to have him on very soon. We also have Jeremy, and we have Jared from the Louisiana area that we slapped hands with at Sicknick. And of course, we're going to have, we're kind of going to do a Mini Truckin' Monday episode with them as well. So we've got a lot of other key names we're not ready to release yet, but just rest assured, know that there's a lot of guys that we were basically lining up to get that audio completed. Now, we're also going to sync up with NC Chico. So we kind of hinted his name a little bit earlier in the year. We slapped hands with him up at Relaxin' in the Park, St. Louis. So, man, time flies. We're going to get that audio done hopefully soon as well, and then we'll have that for you guys. Now, of course, Chico, he owns the epic Nissan Titan, and that truck is featured on one of the HammerDWeekendWear shirts. So we've got a lot to talk about. He's been around a long time. He's been involved with a lot of builds, so really looking forward to that. But first up on this episode, Bayou Showdown. Just want to remind everyone that show, which is sponsored by Sparkles Detail, is November 15th through the 17th, 2019 at the Harbor Center in Sidell, Louisiana. You can search Bayou Showdown on Facebook or follow Bayou Showdown Show on Instagram for more information. Remember, this is a CCSP, or as I call it, Custom Car Show Productions event. So we're looking forward to that awesome experience. I know there's a lot going on, so you want to definitely get involved with the event page on Facebook, because Sean Randall as well as Greg Miller are posting a lot of updates. Now, hopefully what you're hearing so far is better audio. So we've been doing this podcast just over 4 years, and we've kind of reinvested some of the funds into even newer equipment. So I think throughout the rest of 2019, as we get better at using this equipment, and then into 2020, you're going to hear the production value continue to increase with Our Lifestyle, the podcast. So as I mentioned, kind of going to go through here in just a moment, flip through of Street Trucks issue number 9. So we're celebrating that 20th anniversary of the premiere issue of Street Trucks. We've committed to go through kind of the first 15 or so, and then we'll probably go through just various issues going forward. Automotive updates, so I'll cover those. We've got a couple of sports. We'll keep it short and sweet. Movies, music, celebrity updates, really just one minor one there. A couple of tech gaming updates as well. And then we'll hit the show schedule. So to kick this episode off, I'm actually going to start with the iTunes reviews. So it's been a little while since we've covered these. We're up to 140 reviews, and I'm going to go through the latest 4. So I think we're all caught up on these reviews. But on August 16th, we had a hashtag Minis on the Rise by Toddzilla. So you can follow Toddzilla on Instagram, Todzlla. That's Tim's brother, who we recently kind of talked about with the full-size Chevy that kind of changed from yellow into the red version and then into the final version that was on the cover of Street Trucks. He says, great interviews from current and OGs in the custom truck world. Thanks, Todd. Okay, Minis on the Rise, another hashtag there by Bonsai Teach. If you like anything about mini trucks, the show scene, or just staying up to date, give them a follow. Appreciate that 5-star rating, homie. OLP rocks. We got T Moore Graphics. I think I know who this is. Shout out to Tony Moore with Asphalt Army. Whether you're a mini trucker or not, if you grew up around the 90s and have a love for BMX, video games, 90s music, movies, culture, and especially mini trucks, then you need to be listening to this. These guys keep us folks in the scene updated on the current trends and news, but also bring you throwbacks that will make you reminisce about your youth. I'm one who favors music over podcasts, but I find myself tuning in weekly to OLP to find out what's new and to learn more about the people and history among the mini trucking scene. Tune in and give these guys a listen. ODB and the mayor kill it each week and make you long for those good old days cruising in your mini truck and bumping the bass. Huge shout out, dude. Appreciate that, man. 5-star review. That was on September 5th. And then the next day on September 6th, Blast from the Past, Craving Concrete. Love hearing stories about how people got into the scene and who inspired them and what builds got them hooked. 21 years doing this, and nice to hear these stories. So again, huge shout out. Thank you so much there for that 5-star rating. Okay, first I'm going to go with the Street Trucks Retro Flip Through, brought to you by Sparkles Detail. You can visit sparklesdetail.com or have the Sparkles Detail team clean your ride at a show that they're attending nationwide. Just visit the booth. They'll get you all squared away. They will come over. That way they'll allow you more time to kind of hang out with the homies and the chicas, and they'll clean your ride with those Croftgate products. So issue number 9 of Street Trucks was June of 2000. And on this one, you had a full-size Chevy 88 to 98 OBS. We all know that they're on the rise now. But this was kind of a real epic feature. Not only was it a crew cab dually, but it had that awesome Phantom grille. Those are kind of hard to find now. That cover the headlights. Really nice paint scheme, and then obviously the colors just with the sunset and everything was a real nice cover here. Table of Contents had kind of a retro Chevy that came out. I always get those confused. I think it was the SSR. So Word on the Street was a lot of industry news, and they did also feature illustrator Scott Reedy, caught a glimpse of the new Ford F-150 Super Crew and knew it would look cool as a foundation, and they kind of go on to show like a hand-drawn rendering that he did there. Okay, they had Paso 2000 in here, so you did have a couple mini trucks, but a lot of classics. I've never been to that show, but I know, remember seeing it. It was kind of a staple, if you will, in this magazine with the show coverage. Okay, In the Groove with Brian McCormick, Piranha in the Tank of Animosity. And then you have the cover feature here, which, again, was Epic Dually. Real nice 88 to 98, kind of the graphics of that time period fit this truck perfect. This was called Grunt, a crew cab business card built for lugging trophies home and a boat to the lake. And this was text and photos by Brian McCormick. Now, like so many cover trucks, it actually had a for sale sign on it. It was actually a 96 Chevy crew cab. And looks like it was Roger Craig. I don't think it was the Roger Craig from the 49ers, but you get the idea with the truck here. I think this is a truck that could come out today and people would really like it. Okay, you had Next Trucks Factories preview coming attractions at 2000 Detroit, Chicago auto shows. So you kind of see the Crew Cab S10 and just a lot of different vehicles of that era. Okay, Speed Glow, they had APC engineers in the custom gauge technology, so they kind of talk about 88 to 98 doing that swap. I know those were real popular back in those days. Okay, Big Wave. This was a 99 Ford F-150 with a custom graphics on it. It did have an NC logo. Kind of a static drop truck, real clean overall. Okay, Sportside 55, real nice 55 Chevy. It had a newer 88 to 98 OBS bed on it. Real awesome paint. Another tech article. And the 51st Grand National Roadster Show really showed pretty much in this coverage the the older trucks, classic trucks. And then boom, on page 80, building them low is a Torres family tradition, and this was called Pounded by Courtney Hollowell. Of course, it's a Nissan hardbody, and thing looks really, really sick, and feature came out awesome. Again, that's a truck that could easily still whip up at shows today. In the Zone, and this was by Brian McCormick. This was an extended cab GMC Sonoma with some nice billet wheels on it, looking fresh, tweed interior. And those were Colorado custom wheels. So really love those brand wheels. Make sure you're following them, CC Cycle Wheels on Instagram. Blazing 2x. So this was a really badass Suburban that was lifted. It was rocking RA, Relaxed Atmosphere logo, and looking pretty fresh. Farm Fresh, speaking of fresh, you have here a 72 Chevy C10 long bed with flames on it. And then you got a two-door Tahoe. This was text and photos by Courtney Hollowell. Really kicking, bitchin' truck. Those two-door Tahoes, I don't think that they've ever went out of fashion, so to speak. They're definitely on the rise. I know everyone's trying to get their hands on those. Speaking of that, I didn't mention Jay Church. We're going to be doing audio with him soon as well. He's a guy that's been in Florida a long time, and he built, I think when we start sharing the photos, most of you will remember, a really bitchin' two-door Tahoe. And we'll talk, of course, a lot about that truck, which coincidentally did grace the cover of Street Trucks. So kind of there you have it. That was issue number 9, June 2000. We'll kind of hit on. We got a few more that we'll hit on in the next few episodes, but that's kind of a reminiscing back 19 years ago or so. Next, we got the automotive industry updates brought to you by All Time Low Magazine. Visit atlmagazine.com. Yes, print is still alive. They're shipping issue 20. I actually just got my issue, so we'll talk more about it on episode 147 this Friday. But don't just take our word for it. Check them out, atlmagazine.com. You can order individual issues or sign up for a subscription. So, gminsidenews.com. This is an article from September 5th. GM to go Google with voice assistant and navigation as of 2021. And kind of just goes on to say that GM's listening to feedback, and they possibly might get away from using some of their standard UI that they've used with the infotainment systems. And I'm sure, like a lot of us, if you have a newer vehicle, it's nice to kind of plug in your phone and then all of your stuff kind of just appears. But like, what if you don't plug your phone in? You know, what's that user interface in the Chevy vehicle? And from what I can tell from this article, that's where they're looking to ramp up and increase usability. A lot of these OEMs like to use proprietary, software and user interface. And that's fine. I mean, I think they're still going to be doing it, but like make it more user friendly. And that's what they're looking to do with the Google tie-in. Now, of course, if you've got a newer head unit in your older vehicle, or you've got a newer vehicle, I'm pretty certain they're not going to, move away at all from like CarPlay. So if you've got an iPhone device, you should be able to plug that in, I would assume, and then all of that stuff, that functionality would still work. They're just kind of improving upon their factory interface. And then there was another article that I picked up on GMauthority.com. GM had the first electric pickup with a 97-98 Chevy S10 EV. And I think it kind of goes back and forth, talking a little bit about Ford Motor Company recently announcing that it was going to release its fully electric F-150 before 2022, beating GM to the market and likely arriving just in time to take on newcomers to the pickup space like Tesla and There's another brand, I think, called Rivian. But GM was actually the first major automotive manufacturer, according to this article, to put a fully electric pickup truck into production. However, the Chevy S10 EV was launched in 97, mainly for fleets, while GM producing about 1,100 examples of the truck, pulling the plug on the project in 98. So pretty cool article, a little bit of history. I didn't know that off the top of my head. I didn't recall ever reading or hearing of that. Okay, next up, we got sports, brought to you by HammerDWeekendWear. Visit HammerDWeekendWear.com and hit up. They've got a couple new shirts out there, but they got plenty of classics in various sizes still available. Again, hit them up, HammerDWeekendWear, or click the link in their bio. So I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. We know we don't talk a lot about sports, but the Packers did play on Thursday night. They opened the season. They did beat the Chicago Bears, of course, a big rivalry there. My takeaway was obviously the offense wasn't hitting on all cylinders, so to speak, but the defense kind of held and really stopped the Bears from scoring. If I remember correctly, I don't think either team scored in the second half, but so we'll have to kind of see. I'm a Packers fan, as you guys know, so it was good to see the win. And then I think the talk of the rest after that game going into the weekend was the whole Antonio Brown stuff. I just don't get it. He fought hard to get the big guaranteed money, which he ended up getting, then only to throw it away. He had the whole he froze his feet thing fiasco. Then he had the whole I don't want to wear the new helmet. So then that was like a big fiasco. And then he had just all these different antics where I guess he recorded the call that he had with Gruden, and that turned into something that he posted on social media, which led them to be kind of pissed off at him, and he was just like, well, release me, and they did. So it's really odd. I haven't read the whole entire timeline, but then when they released him, the Patriots, of course, picked him right up, and it was like within an hour. So it was odd that that the Patriots had expressed interest in him before. I think they were willing to give up a first-round draft pick before the Raiders ever even got a hold of him. So something seemed fishy that maybe he had wished that he had went to the Patriots. So who really knows? I don't know. The guy's I don't know. He's out there. I've seen some of the stuff he's done, and best of luck to him. That's all I can say. Okay, music and movie updates. This is brought to you by Lone Star Throwdown 2020. Visit LoneStarThrowdown.com to pre-register for this epic truck show event. It's held in Conroe, Texas, and you had to have been sleeping under a rock not to know what LST is. So go out there, check them out, and pre-register for the show. So the first item is The Toys That Made Us is a Netflix series. They did. I did see on my Netflix queue the other day that the new season, I think it is, or maybe it was on Twitter, there is a new season that's coming. If you're into 80s, 90s, or just toys in general, or you just like to kind of learn about the stuff, check out the series on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us. Okay, next, talking about Twitter or Instagram, Amblin Road, AMBLIN Road. This is a really cool account you can follow. They said, starting today, we are celebrating the Steven Spielberg masterpiece, E.T. Extraterrestrial. Stay tuned for exclusive features, interviews, and giveaways built around this classic film, E.T. Steven Spielberg's hashtags, right? This was on September 3rd. They posted a lot of cool facts about the movie, a lot of rare photos. Again, you could follow them on Instagram or Twitter. One thing that I learned about the movie today, this is a tweet where they say, quote, Harrison Ford filmed a cameo in E.T. as Elliot's principal. The scene was deleted because Steven Spielberg felt it didn't quite fit the rest of the film, end quote. So, and then they have a photo of Harrison Ford on set. I never knew that. I'm not the connoisseur, so to speak, of E.T. Like, I love the movie, grew up watching it, the Kuwahara bike, all that stuff. But for whatever reason, I had never heard that, and that was something that I learned about the movie. And then speaking of Harrison Ford, if you are a fan of Indiana Jones movies at all, on Twitter, you have to follow Barnett_college. It's BARNETT_college. Dude, I think I mentioned this maybe once before, but this guy's a fiend for those movies. There's so much knowledge and behind the scenes photos and just information about how they, built the in Temple of Doom, the crazy bridge, the rope bridge, how that was all put together and how many cameras they had to film the scene. I mean, just so many different things. So any of the 4 movies, you'll learn a lot. I'm sure there's going to be a ton if you're a fan of those movies or Harrison Ford in general. Go out there and check it out. It's pretty kick-ass. Okay, next, 2 more updates here. AllHipHop.com. Man says he produced Gin and Juice, and Daz Dillinger backs him up. It's kind of a cool story here. He basically puts it into perspective that, of course, we're going back to all the way like 91, 92 here. But this guy, Emmanuel Dean, was an in-house producer, keyboardist for Death Row, and his credentials are authentic. The guy recently, I think, had passed away in the last year, but apparently he had ties to producing Gin and Juice, the famous Snoop Dogg song. But, of course, Dr. Dre, as many people know, he tended to get all the credit for stuff that was done during that time period. But interesting article. I won't go all through it, but, it's one of those things where, like, sometimes the guy was in the studio and he had an idea or he played something, on a guitar or something. It's like, oh, okay, we like that, and then they go off of that, and that's what they end up making a song around. So it's kind of like, did he really make it? Was Dre really the guy that did, 90, 80% of it? Who knows? But it's an interesting article. AllHipHop.com. Check it out. And then last, Making a Murderer update. So I kind of put this under movies, music. You guys know, probably early in the podcast, I talked a little bit about Making a Murderer series on Netflix. Really love that series, but if you want to follow Stephen Avery's attorney on Instagram, it's Kathleen Zellner. It's Zellner Law. She tweeted over the weekend, big announcement coming Monday, Stephen Avery case. Stay tuned. So looking forward to hearing on Monday what that update is. Okay, celebrity updates brought to you by West Coast Influence. Visit minitruckfilm.com, order the Blu-ray or DVD. Also, they do have a few shirts available and custom Hot Wheels. So check them out. More to come from Radar about the West Coast Influence, which is minitruckfilm.com. Also, check out All Time Low magazine issue number 20, where we sit down with Radar to talk a little bit about what's to come with the whole West Coast Influence DVD. So there's been a little bit of news about Bam Margera. I started kind of covering just because, Bam, was tied to the skateboard world, and he was going through all this craziness in his life. But at the end of the day, I had seen a story just a few days ago where, like, everything seemed to be kosher. Like, he posted a photo with his family, and people were like, okay, everything's good to go. After all this, like, crazy few days, right? Well, then I saw an article that said Bam Margera's probation could be revoked due to trespassing charge. So I had to kind of see how this all plays out. But at the end of the day, like, Bam is, he's been going through all kinds of craziness. So more updates to come as we see those through social media. So we got tech updates brought to you by Garage Gear Clothing. Visit garagegearclothing.com and order some of the awesome gear, whether it's a mini truck, dually, so on and so forth. They've got the clothing for you. They even have a sport truck shirt. So check them out, garagegearclothing.com. So Apple's keynote is tomorrow, September 10th. And we'll, of course, get a chance to see what the timeline is for the new iOS update. And then on top of that, we'll learn a little bit more about the new iPhones. A lot of that stuff leaks ahead of time, and there's tons of rumors out there, but tomorrow we'll get the official from Apple. Okay, gaming update, including retro gaming. This is brought to you by our friends at Feltham Fabrication. Visit FELTHAM Fab on Instagram or search Feltham Fabrications on Facebook for more information. Jason is killing it with the amount of production that he's putting out. Whether you're looking for mini trucking inspired graphics or a Yeti cup painted, so on and so forth, get out there. The homie Josh Ellis just had an epic Yeti style cup that was painted by Feltham, and we posted that photo. So check him out. He's really killing it. Feltham Fab. So on this, really the one update that I have is a Nintendo Switch. So if you happen to have a Nintendo Switch and you're not using the Nintendo Switch Online service, man, you're straight missing out. It's very affordable. I think for like $19.99 a year, you basically have access to Nintendo Switch Online, and you can play not only now the retro NES games, and they continue to add new games, but you can also play the Super NES games now. So over the weekend, they just added the Super NES game. So whether you're into some of the Super Mario Brother games and things like that, they've got those now. So I haven't spent a lot of time. I haven't really had a lot of time to go back and play those games. But if you Google or just go on Nintendo.com, you'll see the service. And like Super Mario World as an example, Super Soccer, Super Tennis, a lot of those games, I really never, for whatever reason, I never played the Super NES a lot, but I know the game. So you can get out there, $20 a year. And then I think if you have Amazon Prime, they have a special where you can get like 3 months free of the service. You can check it out. But once you have the Nintendo Switch Online, you can go in there into those separate sections for the NES or Super NES, and you can play those retro games. So check it out. Okay, so the show calendar, this is something that we can continue to hit upon, and we're going to work out an easier way to get the link out for our official digital calendar. The challenge is we can't share that like through Facebook. If we paste the link and you click it, it says not supported. But we're coming up with a solution to maybe get that out there to more people. Once you subscribe, you'll be able on your Android or iPhone to see all of these dates. So we're going to kind of go through these. We've got Down for Dennis. Daryl Poe came on episode 141 to talk about the details of the show. It's Princeton, West Virginia. Look up Down, number 4, Dennis on Instagram or Facebook for more information. It's September 14th in Princeton, West Virginia, as I mentioned, and this is a charity-style show, so get out there and support the homie. I know Josh Ellis, he was getting his truck ready this past weekend to be ready for the show, so we've seen a lot of buzz about it, and I think it's going to continue to stay on the rise. All right, next we got Slamfest, which is October 12th and 13th here in sunny Tampa, Florida. If you are planning to kind of get out of the cooler weather up north, or you want to come down and just check out an awesome show, come down to Slamfest. You can search Slamfest on Facebook for a lot more information. There's good people there. We'll be out there. We'll be slinging some merch, but most importantly, we're going to be there to cover the event. From videos to photos, we'll be doing our part to share all of those with the Arrowhead Nation for those folks that can't make it. Okay, next we got Bayou Showdown, which is 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. So for those scoring at home, you've got November 15th through the 17th. I know that kind of sounds a little bit late in the month. However, keep in mind, Thanksgiving is not until the 28th of November. So get out there, Bayou Showdown. Look them up on Instagram, Bayou Showdown Show. Okay, then you have, so 2 back-to-back shows. You got Mini Truck Showdown. That's the 13th through the 16th, and that is in Bakersfield, California. You can find more information at minitruckshowdown.com, or on Instagram, it's Mini Truck Showdown. The following week, you got Lone Star Throwdown. That's in Conroe, Texas, as I mentioned earlier. That's February 21st through the 23rd. You can go to LoneStarThrowdown.com or look up, of course, Lone Star Throwdown on Instagram. From there, you've got Orange Beach Invasion, which is March 13th through the 15th, and that's in Orange Beach, Alabama. We're going to have a lot more information coming, but best way to get more updates on Orange Beach Invasion, or as it's known, OBI, search Orange Beach Invasion on Instagram and Facebook. Follow the event page. It's a fantastic venue, and Mike always says it's his wife and his daughter's favorite show because there's plenty of stuff for them to do after they peruse the showgrounds. Okay, and then from there, you've got, we're kind of getting, pretty far out, but you got Southeast Mini Truck and Nats, which is April 24th through the 26th. You want to search Mini Nats on Instagram. It's actually Mini Truck and Nats, or go to minitruckandnats.com. You can pre-register now. All right, then you got Small Town Throwdown, which is going to be May 23rd. Got more information coming on that show. You can search Small Town Throwdown on Facebook for more information. And then you've got Relaxin' in the Park, St. Louis. That is May 29th to the 31st. That's going to be, of course, in St. Louis. And then you got Scraping the Coast, which is going to come in June. So we'll talk more about that. And then you got Relaxin' in the Northwest, The Awakening. That is July 23rd through the 26th. I know a few guys like Chuck Dog down south, myself, my family, we're going to be going out to Oregon again. The show was that epic. So just know that you want to follow Relaxin' in the NW on Instagram. And then Spark Show is going to be locked in for August 14th through the 16th next year. So much more to come. It's going to be super easy once you guys get access to this calendar. Again, we tried to share it through Facebook. We're coming up with a few other solutions. That way you'll be able to subscribe to that calendar, and then everything will appear right there on your phone. So there you have it. It's Mini Truckin' Motherfucking Monday. And this show is a little bit different than what you guys are used to, but when we sprinkle these Monday shows in there, we're going to kind of switch it up and we'll cover these style updates. But rest assured, as I mentioned throughout this podcast, we got a lot of awesome guests coming up. So we'll hit you guys back on Friday. We're going to roll into Michael Jennings' audio now. Of course, he's building the tribute vehicle to the classic movie Class Act. And we've titled this one Lucille because, hey, that was the name of the truck. So appreciate you guys. Have a great week, and we'll hit you guys on Friday. Make sure you hit up our sponsors. You can also click within the podcast app on iPhone or Podbean, and you can see the links to all of our approved vendors and shows. So it makes it super easy if you weren't able to capture all of that while we were covering it. With that being said, we out ya. Appreciate y'all. Peace. Yo, and as I mentioned earlier with Mini Truckin' Monday, this is episode 146. We've got a friend of ours, Michael Jennings, on. He's building the truck that you guys may have heard of. You guys heard me talk about it a little bit earlier in the episode, but Michael, welcome to the podcast. How are you, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Man, dude, things are going great. I just wanted to thank you for your time. We had synced up a little bit on Facebook, and no sooner you jumped on Instagram. Appreciate that. We'll be able to tag you, so we'll talk about that. But, man, we're going to jump right into this build that you got going on. But before we get to that, why don't you just give a quick update to the listeners, like who is Michael Jennings, man? Who are you?
Man, I'm just from a small country town. Just wanted to build a truck.
Nice. And before we recorded, or began the recording, I should say, you mentioned that you've been doing this a real long time, so you're not a newcomer, so to speak, to the whole mini truck scene. Is that right?
Yes, you're correct.
Awesome, man. So you've had this kind of in your blood going on, give or take 30 years, it sounds like.
Roughly between 25 and 30, yes.
Nice, man. Okay, cool. So, naturally, a lot of us are on Facebook, some more than others. I've tried to kind of put my phone down here and there, but I always seem to be kind of tied into social media, especially working and doing this podcast with my co-host Mike. But what I wanted to do is kind of talk about the title of our episode, Class Act, which ties into this 1992 movie that was directed by Randall Miller. What I noticed on Facebook is you had been posting this epic truck, and gosh, dude, it was making the hair stand up on a lot of our necks going, dude, this guy he's got something, man. He's really gaining some traction with this build. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this project and maybe how it came about?
Well, I had a Mazda Rosa at the time that I was working on, and then I had another Mazda that I just finished, and it blew up. So I was kind of like in a slump, and then I went to my buddy's house. He asked me to do a motor swap on a truck, and he had a little S10. And he said if I do the motor swap, I could have the S10.
Okay.
Well, I went home. I started looking on Marketplace, just find some little parts. I wasn't going to do nothing major, just a little build. And then he ended up backing out like a week later. Well, the night I went home and looked on Marketplace, I found a guy who lived in Arlington who had a snug top. Well, I called him, and we started talking, and I ended up buying the snug top from him. I was going to go meet him Saturday and pick it up. And he goes, hey, man, I got this fat body kit. And I was kind of like, man, I ain't never heard of that. I've always heard ROSA.
Mm-hmm.
So he sends me some pictures, and I call him back. I said, yeah, how much? And he ended up selling me the entire kit with the hardtop convertible, everything he bought brand new in 91 for $800.
No way, dude. That is like worth its weight in gold, isn't it, Michael?
Yes. So I bought that, and the only piece he was missing was the wiper cowl. Well, I did a little research, and I found one of those, so I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I come home, and then my buddy, like I said, ended up backing out of the deal after I'd done purchased the parts. So I was sitting there in my garage like, what am I going to do now? I got all this ROSA stuff and no S10, and I'm a Chevy guy by heart, so I really didn't care so much as for the Mazdas. So I went to work Monday, and my boss goes, hey, we've got to take some cars to the auction. I was like, all right, cool. So he goes, well, we're going to stop by our buddies and pick one up for him. I was like, all right. So we stopped by my buddies, and on the way to his house, there was that little S15 sitting behind the barn. I was like, well, I need to go back there. So I went after work. I got the owner on the phone. His mama got him on the phone, and he wanted $500 for it. And I was like, I'm not going to give you $500 for an old broke down S10 with an old drivetrain.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I'll give you $250. And he goes, I'll take $300. I said, I'll be there that weekend to pick it up.
Okay, boom.
Then
So then that's the carcass of the truck.
Right.
Got it.
So then I just brought it home, and then I took the cab off. I wasn't going to do nothing major. And I was sitting there looking at it in the shop one day at my house, and I was like, man, if I want to build something, I got to build something epic. Something that nobody has recreated.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the cab to work. I do paint and body for a living. So I sanded the firewall down, going to paint it. And I was like, man, if I want to build this, I got to build it right. So I flipped the cab up on the backside and started painting the bottom of it completely.
Got it. Yeah, you're going full tilt.
Yeah. And then I was like, all right. And I did all that. And then I brought it home, and that was the summer of 18. And I just kind of sat there in a slump again because I didn't have a hardtop convertible kit.
Okay.
Well, the guy in Dallas or Arlington had called me again. He's like, hey, I was in my attic, and I found the hardtop convertible kit brand new in a box if you're interested.
No way, dude. You can't make this up, man. This is awesome.
No. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely interested in it. Because I told him when I bought the stuff what I planned on doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he goes, $100, and you can have it.
What? Damn.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro.
So I sat there and just let it sit in my garage, and I had the floor of the cab painted on the bottom, and then the firewall cut in. And I got with people on Facebook, and I got the measurements where to cut it and everything. So I cut the roof off without having the kit.
Mm.
Then I got the kit like 3 months later because the guy sells real estate. So it took him a while. He sells real estate nationwide, so it took him a while to come back in. Well, I finally got the kit. Then I took the truck to my job and just went to town on it. And then I brought it. I went to LST in the beginning of 19, and people had already kind of caught wind of what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to debut it at LST 2020.
Okay.
But then I changed my redirection on it because as far as I went on the build, I just want to go that much further.
Got it.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't want to bring it out too soon. You want to make sure it's dialed in. Well, LST is one of our favorite shows. We partner with Lone Star Throwdown, and they're really good people, Radar and Lonnie. So if we see you out there maybe this year, even if you don't have the truck, we'll looking to slap hands with you and say hello and get to know you, man.
That'd be great. Oh, so like I talked to one of the directors of the movie and everything, and he told me it had a 4-cylinder automatic, and that was great and fine. But I was like, man, I got to do something that says it's my truck, you know?
Sure.
So I'm doing a 383 stroker, with an automatic transmission, and the motor and transmission is painted the same silver as the silver on the side of the truck.
Nice, man, dude. It's gonna look good.
And then I did my research as far as Z-Racks were going, and I found a guy that lives in Louisiana who's making my Z-Rack. I can't think of his name right off, but I wanted my Z-Rack to be different. So I had him on the first layer of the Z-Rack. It's all one piece. It ain't multiple pieces welded together. It's all laser cut out of one piece of steel. And he laser cut Lucille in one of the plates of it.
Killer, man. Yeah, it's really coming together now. What I wanted to kind of throw out to the Airhead Nation and all the listeners, where can they find more information on Facebook? Because it seemed like there was one group that you were putting photos into.
I was putting it in the Testarossa page, a lot of pictures in there. Now I'm just, if I post anything, I usually just do it on my Facebook, because I really haven't been posting lately because everybody's seen what I've done so far. So the next time there will be a big post about it, it will be going down the highway, hitting the switches, tilting the bed. That way everybody can see it completely done.
Going class act crazy, right?
Yes, all the way. The wheels, it took me forever to find the wheels, and a buddy of mine in Wisconsin, I told him about it, and he found the wheels, and I got the wheels from a guy through Facebook for $120.
Wow. How good a condition were the wheels in?
The wheels are in good condition, but I'm having them re-chromed.
All right.
And then the license plate that says Lucille, the month the movie come out and the year and all that, I made every bit of that. I painted all that.
Yeah, kick ass. Now, if the listeners or Airhead Nation, if they go on Facebook and they search Michael, just how it sounds, Jennings, you're going to see there's several Michael Jennings, right? But you'll see that there's some posts where he's also posted in I was in a mini truck club in the 80s and 90s. So,
yeah,
and then it looks like,
too.
Yeah, your avatar is the 3-wheeler, right? So they could add you if they want to maybe add you as a friend?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Now, was the motivation primarily just, you kind of laid it out, that you end up with this awesome kit, then you end up with this, carcass of a truck that you're like, man, you're starting to see the vision. Did you have memories of that movie, Class Act, which came out in 92, or like how did it like really officially come to the fact that you're like, okay, it's going to be this truck?
I was just sitting in my garage. I remember seeing the movie when I was a teenager, and I've been in the scene since I was like 15. And I remember growing up and seeing all that, but it was always like in California and South Carolina, North Carolina, stuff like that. It wasn't never. I live 45 miles east of Dallas. I live in a little redneck, one-horse town.
Got it. Yeah.
I mean, all you see around here is dualies hauling trailers. That's it.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you mean. We recently had Cope Kessler, who built the famous Blaupont blue van that was on the cover of Mini Truckin', and his story was very similar. Yep. He's from Texas, as you know, and he kind of lived way out there, and he had a lot of the same.
I worked with him.
Oh, really?
I worked with him at Killer Rides he was our stereo guy, and I worked with him for about 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Killer Rides, that's a whole nother bunny trail there, but were you there when Crew Cut made a short stint there? Were you there when that famous truck was there? Okay, all right. Look at that time.
I was there.
Okay.
I was there when Mike Coy was there as a painter. I was there.
What about when Anthony's Isuzu was there, the famous Isuzu that graced the cover of Street Trucks? Remember that one?
Yes, I helped on that one too.
We're going to have you back on, man. We got lots to talk about. That truck is now being cared for by another person, and he's obviously been posting photos on Facebook as well.
There was another truck that we built for Scotty Rydell Plumbing in Dallas, that when it come out, it was candy apple red on top and Cadillac white on the bottom.
Yes.
They made the cover a street truck.
Oh, yeah, I know that truck very well. That was a sick truck. I'm trying to remember if it had a step-side bed. It definitely was a single cab, but dude, that thing was, just to throw it out there, man, if you guys want to trip down memory lane, Google Killer Rides and Crew Cut, and there's obviously some, a bunch of other trucks you could kind of Google, but that's pretty cool, man. Nice tie-in. But so, you kind of mentioned LST, and then obviously you're kind of pumping the brakes, and you're going, listen, I want to dial this thing in. Do you anticipate, not putting pressure on you, but like, do you think in 2020 the truck comes together, or what's your feeling or thought on that?
Me and my wife have talked about it, and it will be completely finished in 2020. And I might make the drive and debut it at Mini Nats. It's like 16 hours one way. I might just show up there with her.
Dude, you got to, man. Now, speaking of Mini Nats, they're good friends of ours, and Jason Bell and that entire team is really ramping up. Mini Nats, which is next April. You can find more information at Mini Nats on Instagram. Really good people. Dude, that would be epic. As you know, that show is just really continuing to rise in fame. 25th was last year. My co-host was there. But how awesome would that be, Michael, to have the truck up there in Maggie Valley and really getting a chance for people to see it?
I think it would bring it. I mean, it ain't dead. It's coming back.
Oh, yeah. Well, we always say Mini's on the rise, and they're definitely back on the rise.
And, Ron Perkins with HammerDWeekendWear?
Yes, that's one of our good homies, and he is a sponsor of the podcast.
He will be doing a full clothing line on the truck, and it will, wherever I debut it at, it will be in his booth.
Nice. Well, looking forward to that. Now, when you think back to some of the other rides that you had over the years, you mentioned, I think, the Mazda Trucksarosa. Where do you kind of put this one up in all of the stuff that you've had the last 25 or 30 years?
And I've had some nice stuff over the years, some real nice stuff, but this one, honestly, I'd probably never let it go.
Nice. Yeah, because there's a lot of work in it.
Yeah, there's more work than people can imagine. I mean, yeah, people see it and they think, oh, he slapped some paint on it. Yeah, well, go down there and do that. It takes more than just slap some paint on it, believe me.
Yeah, and to do it right, you really have to go, like you said, you're a body and paint guy, so you've really taken it to that extra level. I'd highly suggest that anyone go out there and search Michael Jennings on Facebook, and you'll see some of the photos. Now, how cool would it be? Obviously there's the duo Kid and Play, Christopher Reed, which was Kid, and then Christopher Martin, which was Play. How awesome would it be, maybe, right, even if it's a pipe dream, in the future to get them to, like, check it out when it's finished and or maybe even, like, sign the dash or something?
Well, I had messaged them on Facebook, but I know it's their personal Facebook, but I don't know if they really look at it that much.
Mm-hmm.
And I have sent them pictures of it, and there's a Kid and Play page that I've posted pictures of on it, and I've asked them to sign it, but like I said, I just need to find their agent and get a hold of their agent to see if I can have them. I would love to just get them to fly out to one of the shows, drive it around, sign it, do what they did back 20-something years ago.
That would be amazing. Now, one of our good sponsors and good friends, Greg Miller over at Custom Car Show Productions, he often, at Scraping the Coast, which is every June, he often has some old school acts that are playing, right, so to speak, and Kid and Play, I mean, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to have them out there, but we'll have to see what he has in store for Scraping the Coast 2020. But I can't wait to see the truck in person, man. The photos that I saw really brought me back, and it had me kind of Googling. And just recently, this year, was the anniversary of the movie, and we had posted up that anniversary. It's a movie that's really etched in a lot of people's minds, especially for the red, quote, Lucille S10 or S15 truck that was in it.
Exactly. I like it.
Heck yeah. So
it's just something different that you don't see. I mean, you see roses and everything, but you don't see that truck, especially after they crushed it. After the movie, 10-something years later, they finally crushed it.
Yeah, it was probably sitting on a back lot or something, and they're just like, man, this thing is ancient history.
One guy had bought it that worked there, and then, life got him, married, kids, and buying and selling houses, and he finally just told him just to crush it. He never physically took it off the lot or anything.
Amazing. And the listeners will know, because we've got a lot of kind of true mini truckers that tune in to this podcast. We love doing it every week. And that sometimes we have the Mini Truckin' Monday episodes. The hardest part about doing some of these old school builds is finding the parts, whether it be clear taillights from the 90s or a certain grill, some of the trends, billet grill parts, and etc. But for you to kind of have these parts land in your lap and then get the truck for a good deal, and then your passion for building cool stuff. I mean, it was kind of like a perfect, all the planets aligned for you, and now we're starting to kind of see this thing to come together. And man, it's kind of giving me goosebumps checking out this truck, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. So for the listeners, you can go out on Instagram. It's Michael, Michael .Jennings, JENNINGS 1972. I appreciate you jumping on Instagram, because when we were kind of briefly exchanging messages, I believe on Facebook, I had wanted to post the truck, and I did, and then it seemed like you kind of had found it, or I sent the link to you, and then boom, you were there. So Instagram is a great way to share mini trucks or things that you like, and I enjoy kind of seeing the progress that you got, man. The red and the silver gray paint really, really look good, man, and we're stoked to see this come together.
Well, she will be on the circuit in 2020 showing off.
Well, and I want to give a shout-out to Andrew Beasley. You probably have seen his S10. You know, he's a younger guy. He's 17, just turned 18 years old. And have you had a chance to see his red or white and orangish S10 with the kind of drips on it?
I personally haven't seen it, but I give him props 100% for his age and for him to be building something like that. That's what this generation needs, is more of that.
Definitely. I actually commented on one of his posts the other day, and I said, dude, and it's true, man, he is the future of mini truck, and obviously a lot of us have kids and things like that, but it's not every day that the younger generation is kind of saying, hey, I want to spend a lot of my money on cars and trucks, right? They're busy doing other things, and rightfully so. Each generation is a little different, but for Andrew to be 18 gives me a little bit of a sigh of relief that we do have guys that are younger that are passionate. He's rocking those Colorado custom wheels, and man, he shows us a lot of love. And for an 18-year-old kid, as you said, really got to give him props. So everyone go out there and follow Andrew Beasley, Beasle, and then 3 Y's at the end.
And he's actually in the car club that I'm petitioning for.
Yes, Bonsai Cruisers. Yep. So it's So you're petitioning for Bonsai. Very cool, man.
Yeah, they approached me a couple weeks ago, and I said, "Yeah, I'm all in. Let's do this."
Yeah, they're a good group of people, and I've been looking back at all my old mini trucking magazines, and I was going through some today from like 93, 94, and it's amazing to see how many cover trucks they even had back in the day. Now, we're also real good friends with All Time Low magazine, so Rich and Beth. I know that they're going to be chomping at the bit to feature your vehicle in their awesome magazine, which is currently bi-monthly. So I tell the listeners, if you want a cool mini truck style magazine, visit atlmagazine.com and either purchase an individual issue, or you can subscribe, and it is a bi-monthly publication, and they're doing a damn good job. So issue 20 is about ready to ship.
And that's what really got me to the point where I just had to build a full frame off, because I worked at that place, Killer Rides, for so many years building everybody else's stuff. I figured it was my time to build me one instead of everybody else.
Yeah, well, good for you, man. Someone like yourself and a lot of guys in the industry. I know our friend Jimmy at Jimmy's Running Customs is very similar, where you end up working so many hours that at the end of the day, you're just kind of like, I don't have time for my own stuff. And you often, through your entire career, put the customer vehicles first. So I definitely salute you for kind of taking a moment to say, you know what, I'm going to do something for myself.
Yeah, because I can't tell you how many nights I get to work at 7:15 every day. We shut down at 5, and I'm still there at midnight working on that truck.
Just trying to finish it, knock it out.
Exactly.
Well, man, it's really refreshing to see someone like yourself really kind of put the pedal to the metal and say, you know what, I'm going to do something cool. You had the foresight to say, you know what, I want to do something a little different, something that, to be honest, I don't think we've ever seen a recreation of this truck. One of our good friends that we had on prior is someone that got into the Rad movie. He's been a fan a long time, and he basically built the tribute Blazer, the Christian Hollings Blazer as it's known, and then of course the Corvette, which was the giveaway vehicle for the Helltrack winner. And he's kind of got into doing there's a group called like Movie Cars and stuff, and he's out there in California, and he often will meet up with other people that have vehicles similar to what you're doing, right? Where it's a tribute vehicle or it's the vehicle from a movie. And he's had a lot of fun, man, and I can kind of see that in your future as well, maybe attending those kind of events to let people bask in that awesomeness of the Class Act movie featuring that S10 truck.
Yes, definitely. The overall goal is when I'm done, I will probably go to where they film the movie and hit a couple of the spots where the movie's at and try to recreate the scene with the truck in it, and then eventually, hopefully, I make the cover or it appears in magazine.
Definitely, man. Well, we're going to be really paying attention to social media as you get closer, probably early next year. Let us know. Hit us up. You got my number. We'll obviously stay in contact, but would love to have you back on to kind of talk about how it's coming together. And then, we've been at just over 20 shows this year, my co-host and I, when you really kind of break it down, the local shows and out-of-state shows. So there's no doubt that we'll be seeing you sometime next year. We'd love to have you out at Mini Truck Nats. And then, of course, in June is Scraping the Coast there in Biloxi, Mississippi. So we'd love to see you there as well.
Yeah, I'm more than likely will be at Scraping the Coast with it too.
Awesome. Well, I know Greg and the whole team will appreciate that. But, man, dude, it's been a pleasure. We spent about 30 minutes kind of going through memory lane. It's a movie that I always enjoy when it's on TV. Kid and Play, obviously in the Class Act movie that came out just over 25 years ago. Anything else that you wanted to share maybe with the listeners, Michael?
No, just if you got a vision, just get out there and do it.
Man, well said.
Don't just ponder on it. If you can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I like it, and my last thing would be this, that oftentimes, you worked at a high-end shop, Killer Rides, and, oftentimes people see these real high-end vehicles, and they're like, man, that's a lot of money, I can't afford it. But I'm seeing more and more guys that get into something and maybe static drop it, bag it, or in your case, you're kind of using your everyday skills to complete something, right, that you're a paint and body guy. So at the end of the day, it doesn't have to always be about money. It doesn't have to be about having everything chromed and everything this and that. You can kind of go out there, to your point, Michael, and spend some time, build something unique, utilize your skills that you have, and then obviously some of the connections you have, and then biggity boom, you end up with something that's really, really nice that you can enjoy for a very long time.
True. Couldn't say it better.
Thank you, my friend. So, Michael Jennings, again, you got the Instagram, you got the Facebook. Get out there and show the guy a little bit of love. He's got a very cool, unique vehicle. Whether you've seen the movie or not, you probably have seen the clips on YouTube that are out there. So go check them out. We also posted it back on the anniversary of the movie. So, Michael, thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your week. I know it was coming off a long weekend of Labor Day, and we hope that you have a safe week, brother, and please keep in touch with us.
All right, you too, man. Appreciate it.
ODB, we out here.
Straight Mac, lay back on the dope track, penthouse, turning suckers out. Talking about clout, once again, PPC is in the house. That's a big check, slap aside, busting necks. If you think I'm bluffing, try to put me to the test. Total to the lacing when I'm getting my sex on. A class act, what's really going on? I'm so smooth, ladies call me silky. Staying so cool, they should call me chilly. When I rock a groove, no one gets near me. How you figure, nigga, don't be silly, I'm on. Tapes up, don't even trip.
for the grip, I got to do this. Ain't nothing changed, I'm a true steel, true through this. My tip is strong for suckers riding, now another's on it. The weight on my shoulders fades a fake a fool, not don't it. My knees ain't buckling, I'm rolling, flying the pimp plane. Positive image, making progress, flick the mind games. Penhouses in here to clear the fog. Extend the range, this too is easily done, and you can kick the change. Recognize we rise and keep your attention. Respecting your ignorance, neglecting your bitching. Got to let off, busting one for the brain matter. With 16 in the clip and my pockets get fatter. My mind's my strap, my cap's the explosive. I'm John Dennis cock for the suckers too slow to live. Giving something back with my Mac is risky business. The penthouse is a ruthless giant. I'm with this. Ain't just dollar signs. In order to excel, we must invest in our minds. Let's keep it in the family, together we get more, and it's about time we even the score. The few that know me know just what I'm talking about. Those who just know of me, give me mine and I'm out. This philosophy I share so the world will beat Mac in a pure form. Elaborate, tweet Cadillac.
Sir, the rhymes are made, now my people are paid. About time we had to rush things our way. Doing it like this, not doing it like that. Never trying to keep another black man back, cause that's whack. You know players don't play that, so flick the ones who talk behind your back, cause they ain't jack. My Mac is my sack, strapped in the back of the lack.